Hi beautiful people, today we're going to talk about 3 common challenges for empaths. What does it mean to be an empath? What are the stages of awakening for spiritual people, empaths and light workers, and what you can do to overcome it and thrive as a light worker. My name is Tanya and I am from Tanya Reiki Coach, and I help people getting unstuck, discover themselves and discover their gifts. So if you want to listen until the end of it, we're going to go through the 3 for empaths. And those are: first, overgiving, trying to help too much, too many people when you yourself are feeling depleted. That's a very common characteristic. I've experienced it. We're going to go in depth and understand where it's coming from and how you can thrive, understanding that, and how you can overcome it and turn it into a positive thing. Second, lack of sense of self, feeling too much, not being able to understand what are your feelings, what are other people's feelings, and then in turn that turns into lack of boundaries, and not being able to say no, not being able to put yourself first, and then in turn that turns into resentment and not feeling worthy and so on. And number 3, in terms of challenges, is lack of self-worth, not putting yourself first, as we talked about, not valuing your time, not prioritizing yourself, and as a result, feeling alienated, feeling like an outcast, and resenting others for like taking advantage of you, and feeling depleted. And that's a common result of all these challenges. But don't worry, there is a way to overcome it as you understand where does it stem from, where does it come from, what is the root cause, and what you can do to feel better about it. Great. So now let's go through the stages of awakening as an empath, as a light worker. Usually, in my experience, these are the 3 common stages, right? And maybe you can relate. I've talked to a lot of people that have been through a similar path, and I see a lot of commonalities that I summarized here. So number 1 is your childhood, right? Usually when you come here as an empath, and as you develop as an empath, as a light worker, your soul is a really old soul, a lot of evolution, and you come here wanting to experience not like the cookie cutters, not the easy life, right? So a lot of times light workers and empaths have had a difficult childhood. You've had a lot of trauma in your childhood and you've had to survive. And as a way of a survival mechanism, a lot of us as empaths, we try to get out of our body, right? We try to be safe. We usually go to our higher chakras and we tune into the feelings of others. And we do that in order to prevent danger. Meaning, if you know how other people are feeling, how they're going to react, you in turn have enough time to adjust yourself to those older people in your environment when you're like growing up. So as a result, empaths usually turn into spirituality. They try to overcome the pain through some kind of spiritual practice, metaphysics, and you develop your gifts, right? Like your gifts start showing up a lot of times, or they are already existing as you're a child, but you're just not aware of it, or you don't know how to use it. So this is the first stage, and a lot of times this stage is, I'll call it unconscious. This is where we form our belief system, because up to the age of 7, you are in a state of hypnosis, and whatever happens to you, you don't understand that this is not who you are. This is just something that happens to you. So you form beliefs. It's like, I'm not worthy, I cannot trust anyone, or I'm always in danger, I'm not good enough, or whatever it may be, depending on your childhood trauma. I recommend to everybody to keep on doing inner child healing, even if you had the perfect childhood, because there has been some kind of hurt always in subconscious level, and it's always good to clear it as we become conscious, as we grow up. So that's the first stage, is childhood. Second stage is the so-called discovery stage, as I call it. And this is where, as an empath, as a light worker, you discover your gifts, right? So all of a sudden, you become clairvoyant, or you can access your clairvoyance more. You get those gut feelings. For me, it was like feeling, I kind of was drawn into Reiki, into healing energy. So I took like classes, I took certification, I became a Reiki master. I took Akashic classes to access the Akashic records. I was taking all kinds of classes. I took holotropic breath work. So it's like you're pretty much, it's kind of like being a kid in a candy store, right? Like you're discovering all those gifts that you have, you're discovering all those things you can do, everything seems fascinating. You want to take all the courses, all the self-development courses, read all the books, do all the things, and simultaneously you think that everybody else is asleep and they don't understand you and you're like so special. So a lot of times this is a period of like just stretching yourself. It feels like really like stretching yourself, being really pulled, and it's a very painful process. It could be a very painful process of self-discovery. It's very intense. There's a lot of intensity into it. It may feel uncomfortable. A lot of times it's uncomfortable because you're being challenged, you're constantly being stretched as a person, as an individual. Your ideas are being stretched. You may go through some not so pleasant experiences of purging, whether it's like through some spiritual practices you're doing and you're just being elevated in terms of consciousness or meditation. A lot of times it's a period of extreme loneliness because the people you used to know before that period are not there anymore, or they think you're crazy, or you cannot relate to them, or you cannot really talk to them because now you're in this whole different plane, discovering all these new different things, so you don't have time for the mundane and the boring things you used to have before. So it is a roller coaster. And a lot of times for a lot of light workers, that's what happened to me. Is it's also a period where maybe you start doing this more as a profession, you start healing people, you start helping. However, this is where all the challenges of being an empath and a light worker come. You may find yourself overextending because and this all stems from the what is it being an empath. Being an empath means you are tuned into other people's feelings, so it's hard to. And it comes from the trauma in childhood where you had to do that to learn safety, to safeguard yourself as a safety mechanism, to go into your higher chakras and be able to really be in tune with your outer environment. However, when this happens, there is not a clear sense of who you are and who everyone else is, meaning like which ones are your feelings, which ones are everybody else's feelings. And as a result, you end up feeling everybody's pain. You feel responsible for everybody's hurt. You want to just help everybody. It's like an immense pressure, right? And as you're learning the process of spirituality, you're not yet used to the energy. You don't really know how to protect yourself. So a lot of times I see a lot of light workers and empaths being overextended, not knowing how to protect themselves, being broke, being really unhappy, struggling. Like it's not a comfortable period because this stage in your life often does not come with a guide, right? There is no like, oh, this is the things that you're going to experience. And you may find some teachers along the way, but a lot of people just try to take advantage of you. So it's pretty much a way to describe it is trying to play with fire without knowing the rules, without knowing how to protect yourself and how to control the energy and where your energy stops and other people's energy starts, overextending yourself. So here's some things you can do to kind of like alleviate that stage and just take control of it and feel a little better about it. Is first, put yourself first and get into your body. I think that's really important as empaths. And nobody teaches you about that, right? Because it's great to meditate and most of the people need that. But for empaths, you're already there. You're already in childhood. You've learned how to get out of your body, how to connect, how to get into that state, out of body state. So what you actually need to learn now to function in 3D is actually go backwards, go back into the body so that you know where your feelings and then other people's feelings begin, and you can make that distinguish, like that separation. That's really, really important, because you won't be able to work as a healer or help people or be a coach or be successful if you yourself are being depleted. Like I'm repeating that, like, if you are not in the body, if you are not functioning in the 3D world, it's really hard to make a living. It's really hard to help anyone else when you yourself are struggling. So I would say, like, this is the stage of thriving, when you understand who you are, when you understand how to manage your abilities, and then you can actually help other people. So that's like the next stage, where you like kind of finish with the discovering stage, and now with everything that you have and all the lessons, as hard as they may be, you can now really help other people, because you know who you are and you can help yourself first. So number one, you need to get into your body. You need to put clear boundaries of who you are and who everybody else is. And if you ever feel like you don't know, like you're gonna feel it, like you don't know where you're ending and when everybody else is beginning, or you're not feeling secure in yourself, keep on getting into your body. That's gonna be really, really helpful. Next, prioritize yourself. Make sure you're full, because before you can give to anyone else, and say no. As empaths, a lot of times we've had to we grew up in an unsafe environment, so we are natural people pleasers. We're afraid of conflict. We're afraid to say no, because that's how we had to do this to survive in childhood. But you don't have to do it anymore. Actually, you have to unlearn now, do the opposite. You need to say no. You need to be able to really prioritize your time and put a value on your gifts and your time, so that other people can put value on it as well. And so remember, the way you feel about yourself, the way you see yourself, that's how other people they're going to reflect to you. So if you have doubts, if you think you're crazy, if you think your spirituality is crazy, then other people are going to reflect that. But if you know who you are, if you appreciate your gifts, if you prioritize yourself, if you put yourself first, if you put clear boundaries, if you're able to say no, then you can actually thrive. You can turn those challenges into gifts, which is what they are, but you have to know how to use it. So to summarize, 3 challenges, 3 stages of development. Put yourself first, get into your body, learn how to say no, and learn how to value yourself and prioritize yourself, so that you can thrive as an empath. And I hope this was helpful for everyone, and tune in for more videos. Aloha, have an amazing, amazing day.